How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and it's once again that time of the week where Xur decides to show up to sell us a random assortment of exotics and legendaries. As usual, in this video I'm going to be going over Xur's inventory and talking about any pieces that might be worth picking up. For the most part, Xur's items are usually great for new players, but every once in a while there's also a great piece for some veteran players as well. Today is no exception. Before I jump into it, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so the first thing that you want to do is locate Xur, and he's going to be found in the EDZ, and you're going to want to go to the Winding Cove. Once you are in the Winding Cove, you're of course going to find Xur on the cliff in his usual spot. The exotic weapon that Xur is selling this week is Prometheus Lens, and the trait here is Prismatic Inferno. This makes it so it fires a solar trace beam and generates a damaging heat field that grows while the weapon continues to fire. I also want to mention that this has a perk called Flame Refraction. Kills with this weapon return a fraction of the ammo used to the magazine from reserves, extending the beam's duration. Now overall, this is a pretty fun trace rifle to use in PvE activities. After Aegir Scepter, it's probably my favorite trace rifle personally. As always, if you don't already have this item, I would pick it up. Next up, we have the Hunter Exotic Shinobu's Vow. The exotic armor perk here is New Tricks. This improves the skip grenade and you gain an additional grenade charge. Skip grenades return energy when it damages an enemy. Not only that, but if you take a look at the roll, we have 9 mobility, 22 recovery, 16 discipline, and 9 intellect. So that 22 recovery is going to be excellent for healing. Then you have 16 discipline, which is decent, especially for a grenade focused exotic. Then as a bonus, you have that 9 intellect and 9 mobility, which are likely to tier you up in both of those stats. Intellect will help you get your super back faster, and mobility will help you get your dodge back faster. Overall, I would highly recommend picking up this particular exotic, whether or not you already have a Shinobu's Vow. The stat distribution here is just too good to pass up. However, if you already have a god rolled Shinobu's Vow, you might be able to pass on this piece. Next up, for Titans, we have the Lion Rampant Exotic Leg Armor. The exotic perk here is Jump Jets, which provides additional aerial maneuverability and enables accurate hipfire while you're in the air during lift. This is actually an excellent movement exotic for Titans, but beyond that, it doesn't have much use. On top of that, the particular stat distribution here isn't anything amazing. If you don't have a Lion Rampant that's better than this, of course pick it up. And especially pick it up if you don't already have one already. Next up, for Warlocks, Xur is selling an excellent Crown of Tempests. The exotic perk here is Conduction Tines. Arc ability kills increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Stormtrance. So for this exotic, if you're using top or bottom tree Stormcaller, you can increase the duration of your Stormtrance super by getting kills with that Stormtrance super. In addition to that, grenade or melee kills are going to help you get your arc abilities back faster. And if you take a look at the stats here, it's actually pretty excellent, especially for this particular exotic and those particular subclasses. The standouts here are 16 recovery, 13 discipline, and 15 intellect. Of course, recovery is good for all classes. Then you have decent discipline, which is going to help you get your grenade back quicker, which of course is going to help you take advantage of this particular exotic more often. Likewise, with intellect, you can of course get your super back faster, and with this exotic, you can extend the duration of that super. Again, I highly recommend picking this up, especially if you don't have anything better. This is a very solid roll. Next up, I want to go over the legendary weapon selection at Xur here. First of all, you have True Prophecy with some decent sight options. Then you have Accurized Rounds, which is an excellent perk. Grave Robber, not so much, but Timed Payload can actually be pretty good as well. Unfortunately, it only comes with a reload masterwork. Then you have the 7th Seraph Officer Revolver with some decent barrel options here. Again, you have Accurized Rounds if you want range, or Steady Rounds if you want stability. Then you have Underdog, which isn't a great perk, but you have Feeding Frenzy, which would help you reload faster by getting kills with this weapon. Again, this has a reload masterwork, which isn't always the best. Now, this Nature of the Beast is actually a pretty solid PvP role. You have Hitmark HCS or Sure Shot HCS for your sights. You have Accurized Rounds. You have Quick Draw. And you have Rangefinder. You do have a handling masterwork, which isn't terrible, but I think I would probably prefer range. The Distant Tumulus being sold has some decent PvE options in that 3rd and 4th column. You have Lead from Gold, which makes it so picking up heavy ammo also grants ammo to this weapon. And you have Firing Line, which will give you a damage increase when near 2 or more allies. The handling masterwork here isn't too bad either. Overall, the first in last out shotgun that's being sold isn't all that great. I think the best perk on it is Demolitionist. Now for Honor's Edge, I don't think too many people actually use this sword. It does have Swordmaster's Guard and Tireless Blade, which are pretty good, but then you have counterattack, which isn't all that great, and I just think there are better swords out there in general. The last weapon being sold is the Keening Sidearm, and even if you love sidearms, I don't think this is a very great roll at all. None of the perks here really stand out, and it has a reload masterwork. Next up, I want to go over the legendary armor for each class. So this week, Xur is selling the 7th Seraph armor sets for each class. So if you want those transmogs, you can always pick them up for that reason. Otherwise, you can take a look at the stats and see if anything stands out to you. As for the gauntlets for Warlocks, I don't think those are great. The chest armor does have a 64 total stat, but I don't think the stats are distributed very well. That 21 mobility isn't all that great for most Warlocks. I know there's a few Warlocks out there who like mobility, but I'm under the impression that most do not, me being one of them. Then you have a helmet with a 64 total stat, and this is a little bit better. That 25 resilience can come in handy every once in a while depending on what Grandmaster Nightfall is available, and it can also help increase the health on your Well of Radiance sword. In addition to that, this does have 17 intellect, so it can help you get your super back faster. And finally, the legs for Warlocks aren't anything special either. Moving on to Titans, let's see if you have any armor worth talking about. So the gauntlets here have a 63 total stat, but again, the distribution isn't great. Then you have chest armor, which is a little bit better, even though it only has a total stat of 62. You have 21 discipline, which is great for a grenade focused build, and you have 9 recovery and 9 intellect. This one might be decent for newer players, but for most veteran players, it's probably not going to stand out. And then you have a helmet, which is actually quite solid. It has a total stat of 62 with 18 recovery, 18 intellect, and 13 discipline. That 18 recovery is going to help you heal faster, the 18 intellect will help you get your super back quicker, and discipline is always good for throwing more grenades. This one would be a very solid choice for newer players, and it might even stand out for longer term players as well. And the leg armor is completely worthless. And last but not least, I want to go over the armor for hunters. So right away, the gauntlets don't look like anything too great, especially with a 59 total stat. Likewise with the chest armor, it does have a 62 total stat, but the two highest stats are strength and mobility. Mobility is great, strength not so much. Then the helmet seems like a decent piece for newer players with a 62 total stat consisting of 15 intellect, 14 discipline, 13 mobility, and 10 recovery. Those 4 stats are all pretty solid for hunters. Intellect for your super, discipline for your grenade, recovery for healing, and mobility for your dodge ability. And this leg armor is the final piece to talk about today. This has a total stat of 59, but it has 26 intellect and 12 mobility. This one is kind of a mixed bag. It has a low total stat, but it has an extremely high intellect stat. So if you like throwing your super and you're newer to the game, I would recommend picking this up. If you're a veteran player, you probably already have something better for your hunter. If not, you can always pick this up as well. Anyway, that is all I have for today's Xur video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe. I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.